I'm Lorenza Berengo, I'm a journalist, and I'm going to be with you this morning. I'm going to moderate this debate, this conference. I noticed that today we are here. Many people are here. We are here. There are three programs here, three community programs, and they're going to show the achievements in the field of sustainable tourism, and they're going to talk about it. Today is the kickoff event of this path that joins every country. These three projects, Interreg Euro MED, Italy, France, Maritime, and Next MED. This is the start of a pathway that is going to be broadened, and we are going to start today in order to have a stronger cooperation as far as sustainable tourism is concerned. We want to support the players of the sustainable tourism in the Mediterranean area. We want a sustainable tourism, and we would like that this tourism creates and increase the economic growth. So today we are going to see how this concept can be conceptualized, and we are going to give the floor to different people. We don't have much time, so I would like to give the floor to, we start the first session, so Paolo Ernesto Tedeschi. Can you hear me? Yes. He's the director for territorial competitiveness of the region Tuscany. Then there's Jean-Pierre Recan. He's the head of the Interreg programs in the European Commission. Jacques-Luc Fraisse. He is the responsible of the French Agency for the Territorial Cohesion, and Gianluca Palazzo. I give the floor to the director, Paolo Ernesto Tedeschi. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I talk in different languages, the languages that I know. I'm sorry, I don't know Spanish, German, or other European languages, but today the focus is on Mediterranean Sea, and the different programs decided that each speaker will talk in his own language. As already anticipated, I focus on territorial cooperation, coordination, and management of the European Regional Development Fund. And I also focus on the program Interreg Italy, France, Maritime. So this is the first message I would like to convey, because we are going to talk today. We are going to talk about the multi-program coordination, and everyone has to do it by itself, because we want to develop different mainstream programs, and we would like to focus on the Interreg that we share with other regions, Italian and French regions. So it is important that there is this collaboration, and I would like to say hello to every speaker. Today we aim at outlining the different experiences, practices, toolkits, so the different instruments, in order to have an experimental work with a focus on the Mediterranean Sea, and with an approach that is focused on the sustainable tourism. And we would like to find new forms in order to develop this practice. Mediterranean and tourism is not something casual. The modern tourism was born with the Grand Tour, the European Grand Tour, in the 1700s, in the 17th century, and So we know that there is an historical correlation, and we hope that in the future we are going to see it again within the European community, because the European community, this tourism was born thanks to these grand tours, so thanks to these players who arrived to the Mediterranean area, where there are many cities which are not Italian, they are French, or they are of other countries. We find many villas, we find many urbanistic solutions in different cities that decided to adapt and to welcome these forms of modern tourism. So this is a great occasion in order to talk about tourism and sustainability within the Mediterranean area. That was the place where modern tourism was born. So today we would like to also talk about the economy that is related to tourism. That we would like to talk about different topics such as sustainability, such as the problems that we can have. We can see that in this city, that is Florence, and we would like to find new solutions. As far as the European funds are concerned. The collaboration among these three programs represents a great possibility in order to talk about complementarity. That is a great topic for the Europe, and this is an objective for the period 2021-2027. And we would like to find new forms, new ways in order to develop this complementarity, this coordination. And we would like to do it with different programs, with the mainstream programs as well. I would like to mention some cases. For example, 2014-2020, we noticed that there were many places in the shore that were renewed, but there were then some problems because there were some empty containers. So we would like to restructure, to renew these containers that were modernized. This is a simple process, but there is the necessity to do it. Another example is the signature that we made some days ago. I see that there are some partners, that we collaborate with these partners. Some partners that are who are French, but not only French. And as I was saying, some days ago, there was this signature. And this signature concerned development of some area as far as the European Regional Development Funds 2021-2027 are concerned. So the development, the environmental development, the social development, and the sustainable tourism are the key factors of this signature. So the objective is that tourism can be related to these topics that I've already mentioned. This is a significant, an essential investment. There's also a fund of 650 euro that is important in order to involve the partnerships and the citizenships in this urban dimension. So this is a great example. This does not concern the three programs that we are going to discuss today, but they are important examples in order to develop this complementarity that is our goal today. So I would like to wish you a great conference, a good job. I think that your presence is really essential, and I think that complementarity needs to be developed.
thank you for reminding us about the 13 development projects with the collaboration of Tuscany region. Now I will give the floor to Jean-Pierre Alcan, who is connected on the internet. So I will give you the floor. Thank you very much. I would like, first of all, to thank you, all the friends of the program, of the Euro MED and NextMed and Maritime program for inviting me here today to this very important event. And I think that Mr. Tedeschi has already shown and expressed in his speech how important it is that three programs are united and collaborate. So I'm focusing on today's event because it is very important to have a perspective at the European Commission level, and through, first of all, cooperation between Interreg programs, and then about sustainable tourism, and thirdly, cooperation in the Mediterranean area. First of all, I would like to tell you about cooperation between Interreg programs. The need for strengthening cooperation is based on a reflection on perspectives for the future. In 2018, we started thinking about this synergy, about programs, and we took very important decisions. First of all, to organize the Interreg program, because it needed to be easier to manage. Also, developing good practices for neighborhood collaborations, and then the decision to organize programs that are based on rules. And we had many discussions, and then we had these decisions to prepare rules for our cooperation and for a strengthened and stronger cooperation between and among Interreg programs for the Mediterranean area. This situation has been a challenge and an opportunity at the same time for us. And so we have organized meetings between member states of the Mediterranean area, and that allowed us to go into detail on this topic. We tried to organize cooperation between member states, and then we developed interaction among all partners, which enable us to launch this kind of initiatives like MedLab initiative that was launched with a lot of enthusiasm and enable us to develop a multi-program cooperation mechanism in the Mediterranean, which is a very important factor for progress in collaboration, and the Commission supports this kind of initiative. And then a second very important topic today is tourism in the Mediterranean area. In a European perspective, from an European point of view, in 2019, before the COVID crisis, we saw that tourism was at 13% of earning for the economy. It's so very important for economical growth of the European Union, but that percentage was not homogeneous throughout the Mediterranean area, because a higher percentage was concerning some parts of the area. And then we developed strategies for the Ionian and Adriatic areas, with 20% of the member states taking part in this strategy. And then we had the COVID crisis and shock that caused problems throughout the European Union, also in countries where actually the economy is based on tourism. And this shock, this crisis, was certainly analyzed when we started thinking about this project, about using the funds, and above all for Interreg programs. And we estimated that as for ERDF, 4 billion euros will be devoted to tourism, and so Interreg cooperation is very important because it can represent 1.4 billion euros. About 14% of the funds that will be granted will be used for tourism. So all discussions today will be very important for the entire Europe, but in particular for the Mediterranean area. Tourism is an opportunity. As for the European Agenda for Tourism, we will analyze it for 2002, and we'll look at all the objectives. And then the third topic I will be talking about is cooperation within the Mediterranean. It is a very important topic, cooperation between among European and Mediterranean countries, which is very important for the future of the Mediterranean area and for all the countries around it. And we know what the challenges are. There are environmental challenges with the population which is growing, especially in the Mediterranean area, and limited resources. It is a region that has been hit strongly by a crisis more than in other parts of the country. As for environmental impact, and then political situation and economic situation, and so for these reasons the cooperation is even more important, but also very important. We have had and launched many initiatives supported by the European Union, for example, the initiative for the Mediterranean, MED, or political initiatives that are very important, which are necessary, but we know at the same time the difficulties we have to implement them. Difficulties that show us the need to work in parallel together, developing initiatives, projects, bottom-up kind of approaches that are based on the union of the entire Mediterranean area, with cooperation on very important topics such as tourism. And this shows us that it is possible to collaborate, and we want to. All the stakeholders in the Mediterranean area want to collaborate. And all of this actually is the reason for today's meeting. And so we will consider all these aspects, which are very important. First of all, spontaneous initiatives of 3 programs, which have received the support by the European Union. That is more than 50,000 euros for the development of tourism, sustainable tourism in the Mediterranean area. And now we are also faced with the implementation of an action plan aimed at managing tourism within the Mediterranean. There are 3 priorities for the European Union, which I've already mentioned before. And so we are working to develop these projects, and we try to encourage this work, and we try to encourage the stakeholders of this process to develop new Interreg programs which have implemented, solutions for tourism as one of the main priorities. I'm thinking, for example, about Greece and Italy, Cyprus, Italy, Croatia, and many other programs which have been launched now based on tourism. And also, I think Italy, Tunisia as well, and other programs that can be important and that can be essential. And it is important to have new members joining these programs, and the Commission will continue supporting this process, these 3 elements that we have already analyzed and used for preparing the action plan and we must stress important factors such as timing. We are dealing with the creation of programs which must be very accurate, so we must be sure that the 24-27 action plan will comply with timing. And so we are analyzing feasibility, we are analyzing them to understand if they are feasible in practice. And it is important to make available some resources that are sufficient resources to implement the action plan. And for us, this is very important. And it is important to have the door open, so to say, and so to get financing through the ERDF and using it as a tool for cooperation with all the countries of the Mediterranean area, with our neighborhoods, as a tool, as a financial tool of the European Union. And using this tool, sharing it with all the partners in the Mediterranean area. So I think I will stop for now, but I would like to thank you all and wish you a fruitful session for this initiative of the European Union. Thank you very much.
Fresh. C'è? È collegato anche lui?
Sì, sono collegato.
Yes, I'm here. I couldn't see you, sorry.
Merci beaucoup. Donc, je tiens à remercier, comme Jean-Pierre Hannequin, les copains d'Interact, Euro MED et Maritime pour cette invitation. Et je tiens à les remercier à double titre.
Thank you. I would like to thank you. I have to thank these three Interact programs because they have been working for 2 years for France and Italy, and they weren't clear in the past. So thank you. Also, I would like to thank a dialogue among these three programs. I would like to thank the representatives of other countries. I think that thanks to them, this project became reality, and it focused on the possibility of a greater coordination. In the past, there was a person who's not here today who told us something. This person conveyed great and important messages in order to reach something more concrete today. So France decided to work with our Italian colleagues, and the main idea was simple, I can say. The first main idea was starting and producing great results through dialogue and cooperation, thanks to the Interreg program. Then we had some policy programs within the Mediterranean region. We have to be ready to see greater results, greater achievements, and to have greater public policies. These policies have to use these achievements. Then we have the second idea. The second idea at the beginning was really easy. So according to us, it was necessary to use some programs that were interested in this topic, in the capitalization of the achievements of these programs. So we wanted that these programs could share their achievements, their data, in order to have a final objective. So this objective was a greater development of public policies across the Mediterranean region. Then we had the third point, the third idea. It was based on difficulties that we had. So for us, at the beginning, it was important to limit ourselves. So we had another important topic that concerned many territories among the Mediterranean region, and it was a topic that concerned a really important topic, that is the tourism, but the focus was on sustainable tourism. It was the first objective that we had. So we had to work on other topics, so we didn't have to focus on just these topics. So how can I say? We saw that there was an interest towards these 3 interaction programs. So we saw that we could make things reality, concrete. So we noticed that these 3 programs are pioneers, Euro MED, Next MED, and Italy, France, Maritime. They started to collaborate, and I agree with Jean-Pierre. I think that there are going to be other programs who are going to join this mutual effort, because the Mediterranean region had to face the climate crisis more than other parts of our planet. And I think that it's not just a trend that we are experiencing during these years, but I think that it is really something important. We have to contribute to slow down the climate change. So I hope that this morning, because this afternoon I'm not going to be there, but I hope that this morning there are going to be great interventions, great contributions, and I hope that these initiatives are going to join to other programs, and I hope that there is going to be a stronger dynamic, and that there are going to be more programs. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning.
Here in Florence, I cannot be more pleased to be here with you today. Of course, my reason to be grateful to all organizers go much further than that. I believe that this meeting is a key milestone in shaping the way we want to see managing authorities evolving their coordination. In other words, I believe that this mechanism is paving the way for long-lasting transformative changes in the Interreg governance, as it creates new enabling conditions for new international cooperation actions, funded not only by Interreg, but also by regional programs and other tools. I'm here basically to learn on potential for improvements and reiterate the Italian national support to this mechanism. Having already recalled to whom we should pay tribute for this outstanding initiative, and the EU framework, recalled by Jean-Pierre Arquin before, I'd like to briefly share with you some reasons why I believe this meeting can provide extremely useful guidance on how we can move forward. So, first of all, we should start by acknowledging our latest progresses in synergies and coordination. We always complain about how to get things better, but many things have already been done in an extremely successful way. And then I will quickly mention some hints on how to get ready for the next steps. So, first of all, acknowledging progresses. We are not starting from scratch. Italy made a big step forward with the partnership agreement, including specific provisions on key criteria relevance, sustainability, and more recently also transferability as key criteria to review Interreg-funded projects in 2014-2020, and so setting the base for the new programming period. Over the last year, we have supported both regional and national programs as regard the inclusion of specific reference to the priorities set by macro-regional strategies, USAIR, USALP, and the Sea Basin Initiative WestMed. This action allows us now to monitor future regional calls and projects, investments, as those mentioned before, and get out this way from the Interreg bubble. We are moving towards new actions on capitalization with the Italian capitalization plan that is one-of-a-kind experience we are implementing now, supporting new calls and the one ongoing for Italy, France, Maritime, which includes specific criteria concerning project consistency with WestMed is certainly an example to be mentioned. Future criteria for the upcoming calls shall also be in line with this approach. So, basically, the 2014-2020 experience has provided us with some very valuable examples of effective coordination mechanism both between Interreg programs and Horizon Europe, and between Interreg and Mainstream. We don't know much about this experience, but we should really focus on the past to move forward. So synergies between Interreg Europe and smart specialization, for instance, have been analyzed by a recent GRC study and can be further promoted, analyzed. Interreg programs working now on internal and external borders are now under the same operational umbrella, and this is certainly a key step to improve coordination and efficiency. So, how to get ready for the next step? More than ever before, the 2021-2027 programming period, macro-regional strategies and Interreg will be fostering sustainable and smart regional economic development. They will pave the way to closer links with Horizon Europe, as well as to maximize the impact of both policies by creating complementarities, especially in less developed and peripheral regions. We need to raise the bar, supporting a critical mass of quality projects, as mentioned by Jean-Luc before. In parallel, we should focus on actions to increase synergies and complementarities at strategic and operational level. So let's see at strategic level. As mentioned before, we can extend these initiatives by including other programs that have already some provisions concerning this mechanism. Italy-Malta and Italy-Tunisia should be involved to be an active part of this process. Of course, we should see if there are other programs ready. I think that there are rumors around programs willing to join. Reinforcing synergies means also to look to what Horizon is doing, and the EU mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters, can be certainly a reference, as it aims to protect and restore the health of our oceans and waters throughout research and innovation. At the operational level, I would like to highlight the fact that we need to clearly identify and measure project results based also on open discussion and peer-to-peer review. We have a common framework for the indicators. Let's work on this, but let's share experience like this one. Second, we can create a stronger link between evaluation activities and capitalization, so that this exercise could be further developed by the Interreg programs. Third and last point, we should focus on what we can do better. We can focus on competencies. So the development of an European sustainability competence framework can really be a reference for the future step of this initiative. So, as quick conclusions, Interreg is more than 30 years old. It's still young, but is much wiser now. And at program level, we tested different implementation options. We started with the projects and full spending as priority, always. Now we're moving towards top-down approaches, and now more than ever before, it's time for quality results and coordination with other funds. This mechanism is key to make these goals real outcome. We need transformational change at the speed that science demands and in a manner consistent with highly participatory process. So Interreg can do that, and tourism was and is still one to be considered as a priority to demonstrate how effective cooperation can be. Thank you once again, and congratulations for this event. I'm very much looking forward to hearing from all programs.
Grazie, grazie. Passerei ora la...
Thank you. Now I would like to give the floor to Mercedes Acitores. She's going to moderate the next step of this morning, the debate and the roundtable.
Come in, so Aldo and Curzio, thank you. Next, fine. Okay. So buongiorno a tutti.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone who's here today in Florence, but good morning, everyone who are in streaming. So, good morning, everyone.
Tight in time. We're always tight in time, right? And there's going to be a kind of madness for the translators because we will keep on changing languages. Sorry for this. I will try to remain in English, but the questions will be done in different languages. So, thank you very much. Did I turn up? No, it's fine. Thank you very much for the previous presentations because it really gave you the right scope. Why are we here? And next. Where should I point? Where does it go? Well, I'm not very good in technicalities. You know me already, and my name is Mercedes Acitores by now. Where should I point? If not, there are 3 slides, so you just can switch them. No worries. It's okay. Sí, pues espera. Okay, thank you. So my name is Mercedes Acitores, for those who don't know me, but I think that most of you know me already. I come from Interact. I work for Interact. And I would like to just make a brief summary on adding what maybe Jean-Pierre Alcan said before. He mentioned that in 2018 they were starting to prepare the next programming period. And here's a map that most of you've seen already, comes from 2014-2020, and shows the wonderful frame that we have here to work in complementarities, right? There's the only thing that we could see here, there are opportunities. There are geographical overlaps, but among many opportunities that programs should work together. And based on this, we started organizing Interact and Tessim. I have a colleague here with me, Rosario. We started organizing events together with the Commission, getting 17 programs together and really wanting to see how we could improve this common work in synergies. So we had 7 online meetings. And from these online meetings where national delegations were there, EU, EPA, but also partner countries were with us, managing authorities and secretariats from all the different 17 programs, and also WestMed and USER were there. And from the analysis of all your specific objectives, here are the big five. Climate change, of course, we mentioned already climate change, natural protection, cultural tourism, circular economy, and research and innovation. And I can tell you that culture and tourism is not in red because of today. It was red already, okay? But you can see how important this topic is from the different perspectives, from the perspective of the economy, but also a perspective of sustainability from a climate perspective. So this is summary. I don't want to get more time from our colleagues because they are the ones that are the main characters for today's meeting. So let me introduce them. You know them already, but we have Dottore Filippo Gabbiani, responsabile dell'autorità di gestione Interreg Italia-Francia Marittimo. Mr. Aldo Puleo, who represents Interreg Next Med Managing Authority, and Curto Cervelli, chef de secrétariat conjoint de Interreg Euro MED. So now, just going to the questions and why are we here. So we saw the different slides, why, what, that was discussed in order to improve synergies, and now how. And it was mentioned previously that there are different ways of improving synergies. And from this discussion with 17 programs, 3 of them and 2 member states were the pioneers and the ones that say, okay, let's start working on this. So they will tell us how, what's their view. So for Dottore Filippo, Dottore Gabbiani, sorry. Come siete arrivati?
Dr. Gabbiani, how did you arrive to the mechanism of coordination? How was the philosophy? So good morning, everyone. Welcome in Florence. So we are here. So I would like to welcome everyone because this is my home. How did we arrive here? We arrived through coordination, with a coordination process. This is the key word. This is a work that lasted a year and a half. It is a work of dialogue, of commitment, of contribution. So we decided to find different solutions together. But why did we start to work together? Why did we start this process? We have a goal. The goal is implementing the operational system and having coordination among the Interreg programs. So this is a great goal. We would like to create greater goals, greater ways of collaboration. We had different goals, and the second one was solving different issues, different problems that every program had to face during the years. So first of all, we didn't want to duplicate the financing. And on the other hand side, we would like to enhance a process of capitalization. So we would like to analyze the different achievements that every program achieved, and we would like to work in a broadened sense. So this logic was the basis of the 3 programs. This work, this process wasn't possible if we hadn't been supported by other players, for example, Italy and France, so the member states of these programs, then the International Agency for the Territory, the French territory. During the last period, we collaborated more with them, and we had a great political moment. Then I would like to thank Interact and TESM because they supported us. We had to outline different information, and we started from 3 points. So the sharing of results, the outlining of criteria, and the creation of a well-structured governance. So we decided to work with these three topics, with these three concepts, and we had three authorities, three managing authorities. They are who share a friendship. So I came here after them, but I know that there was also a meeting during the Christmas period in 2022. So we were really happy that these people were in Florence. In this way, I can show that a great cooperation is the key factor in order to solve issues and overcome challenges, and in order to reach great objectives, great goals.
It's built on trust. That's the reason that you mentioned, the fact of becoming friends or being friends. I mean, trust, it's so important. And that's the reason meeting us today, it's important, because you cannot start coordinating in a very effective way without trusting the other program. So that's a point. And also, I want to highlight that the base of this coordination and synergies, it's capitalization. So that's the base that the three programs are really good at. I will now go to Aldo Puleo. Aldo, how working together to enhance this coordination?
Yes. Thank you very much, Mercedes. And I would like, first of all, to thank Regione Toscana for hosting us here in Florence. As Luca, I'm a former student here at the University of Florence, so I'm very pleased to be here today. Allow me to say that it is, I would say, I personally feel very much impressed about this organization, because it finally, we see finally the results, the first result of our hard work that has been carried out over the last couple of years. Filippo was mentioning also that we have also had meetings during Christmas holidays. I mean, there was the will to coordinate ourselves. And I think that this is the first point that needs to be taken into account also for those that would like to join. I think that this multi-program mechanism is the first pilot initiative where three programs decide to concretely work together. And I think that this is something that has never been like this in the past. We had several meetings, as Mercedes mentioned, the several meetings the Interact also organized to stimulate synergies, but at the very end, working together is actually the challenge as well. How do we work? Basically, we have set up a concept paper that has been approved by the respective task forces. So I think this is also good for the other programs and other initiatives that would like to join. So basically, we drafted this concept paper and we had the task force approving this document last year. And after that, we set up the governance that Filippo was mentioning. So we established a permanent working group consisting of representatives from the managing authorities and joint secretariats of the three programs. We met here in Florence last summer and we adopted our rules of procedure. And after that, I mean, this governing body basically is the technical body that drafts the action plan. So we drafted the action plan for 2022-2023. We got it approved from our respective monitoring committees. And obviously, one important result foreseen in this action plan for 2023 was actually to organize this event today. We start from a very solid and different previous experience in capitalization activities that have been carried out by the three programs. And we would like to develop, actually, starting from these experiences, common tools. such as joint living labs, peer reviews, exchange of information. But the most important outcome that we are foreseen to achieve by working together is to draft then terms of references, common terms of references to be used in our calls. This exercise requires lots of efforts, and I finish. So also the organization of this event has been mentioned also by those that have been taking the floor before me. And it's a challenging exercise because putting together many persons is always a challenge. But despite the similarities in the strategies, programs have different approaches, and so this is something that needs to be evident, and different way of working. The fact that we have succeeded in organizing this event is the proof that if you really want to establish synergies, to cooperate with other programs, this is possible. The benefits from a strategic point of view, I think, are quite evident. I mean, Mercedes mentioned also the common topics that the program strategies have. However, we do need to carry out extra work for this, so analysis, capacities to adapt, and willingness to achieve common objectives. The important point, and I stop here, is that despite this working together, each program will keep its own sovereignty on the overall program implementation, because we have different budgets, we have different types of calls, so each program will work together. So it will keep the sovereignty on the program implementation. I think it is an important point to say, because other programs may fear that working together could lead to lose part of their sovereignty, but it will not be like this. So I think that this is more or less how we work. Obviously, for those that are interested, we can share our documents, our action plan, our concept paper. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aldo. You mentioned exchanging information. That will be one of the ways that you are working. I have to say that in Interact, we have a new tool called Index that will allow you to share information, not projects approved, but assessments. So that could be very interesting, not only for maybe pilot projects, but also those projects that are already running, to check on who is involved in which kind of program and what kind of activity they're doing. So just bear that in mind. We will always collaborate in your work, Tessim and Interact. And Curtio, so maintenant en français. Et déjà, vous avez arrivé à vous mettre d'accord pour faire un catalogue de bonnes.
And you have.
À part de ça.
Buongiorno, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'm also, I was also here in Florence before, so it is a great pleasure for me to be here. I would like to start by thanking all the member states, all the programs that we present today, and all the initiatives. Today's event wouldn't have taken place without his help. He already said that, but the decision was taken by the committees of the three programs, 14 states for Euro MED, 16 states for NextMed, and Aldo, maybe you will correct me, 15, okay, he corrected me, and 2 countries for Italy, France, Maritime, so many countries in the Mediterranean region. And it is very important to acknowledge this process, but as Aldo was saying, tried to sell the product, so to say, I would just like to add that, as Jean-Luc Fraisse and Jean-Pierre Alcan said, for the 21-27 period, we'll have this program that will make us join together and shows up something that has always worried me a bit, because before seeing the paper that has been developed, I didn't have an idea about the cooperation and feasibility of cooperation in the Mediterranean. So these programs all the programs had objectives, 11 objectives. And today we have fewer objectives, but they are shared by all. So I think it would be stupid not to work together. On one hand, you can say, I don't want to be stupid. On the other hand, you have to manage to work together. And for that reason, we need, to consider our timings, different timings, all strategical objectives and wishes for one's own country, But today, we are not the only one to work on this topic. There are many friends who have not joined our mechanism, but I hope that through this friendship, we'll be able to convince other partners to join. At the moment, this program interacting and also the European Commission in Brussels. And of course, everything starts from the Commission in Brussels. So we hope that from these offices and from all the partners, we can bring forward this work, which is and has been very difficult. And it is difficult, and joining 3 programs. Just, for example, to choose the picture that you see on the screen at the moment wasn't straightforward. And so, working on 5, 6 objectives, the situation will not be easy, but we will need to cooperate. It is necessary. It is necessary to try to cooperate. And above all, our objective is to have a transformation in order to provide you with the possibility to have a platform, a place for exchange which is permanent and better organized, where we can meet all together and find and exchange information, what we are doing already. And it is not, it is what is important is that all the partners in the territories can do that as well, because what we do at our level is important if we can transfer our results to the local areas. And so, this is the point. Otherwise, it would be pointless. And I hope that today's event is not the end of something that started 2 years ago, but it is just a starting point for new programs, and that we can continue on this way, above all for us within EuroMed, but I'm also addressing the south of the Mediterranean region. There's in those areas, or in general, there's not the financial possibility to finance the south, of the European Union, but we have the opportunity to collaborate to help these south countries to develop also dialogue through transnational programs to give them added value and an additional opportunity. This is our objective and perspective. Thank you, Curzio. We have many projects such as EuroMed, NextMed, and not NextMed, but what I wanted to say is, or ask you, how the project can contribute to this type of mechanism. I think you have already given an answer, but I would like you maybe to better describe this point. I don't want just to just talk all the time, and I will assure you we'll have other people speak. But we in each program need to consider one's criteria. In EuroMed, we try to support governance for external projects, and ALDO, NextMed, they have capitalization projects for Italy, France, Maritime, but there are also other programs which have other opportunities. So the project is the heart of our work and our job. but we need to actually make reference to secretariats and all organizations involved in order to help results capitalize and externalize results. I will conclude now, but I think I've talked too much already. But to me, it is important to concentrate on results, on solutions. We were not so focused on representing an institution or a government, but giving answers and solutions to problems. So if we have a good answer and solution, we should share it as soon as possible, because after 1 year, it will be obsolete already. So we will have to try and foster a dialogue between us, among us, in order to get results and answers and solutions. Thank you, Curcio.
Could contribute. It would be the same kind of question, but from the next perspective.
Thank you. Thank you, Mercedes. Well, first of all, I would like to say that our program brings also into this game also the southern part of the Mediterranean Sea basin, which is something that is actually very important, because we can enlarge the impact of this multi-program for the entire sea basin. We bring our previous experience, as I mentioned before, in capitalization, and what do we take from the other programs? We take also the advantage of their results and the different approaches that the other two programs that are currently joining the multi-program mechanism actually have. The overall objective will be to maximize the impact of the cooperation in the world area, obviously, and this is crucial for us, and I think it's evident also, and it's the main objective of being here today. At project level, I think that we see for our project beneficiaries an important challenge, I would say, that is offered by this multi-program. In particular, I would like to stress on the cross-contamination effect. Allow me to use this terminology here. I believe that our beneficiaries could enhance their opportunities. In fact, the cross-contamination, I see this cross-contamination both in terms of getting knowledge of interesting tools and practices and results which have been developed by other projects financed by other programs, but at the same, obviously related at the same field. I mean, we've seen already the similarities in the fields of interventions that the three programs have. And at the same time, in exploring and expanding the cooperation in other countries and regions of our program area. So I think that this is an evident effect of these of joining this multi-program at project level. We acknowledge obviously the interconnection, the complementarities of the needs of the different projects that within our programs. Mm-hmm. These are evident. And the multi-program, I think, would like to offer the possibility to capitalize the solutions actually developed at different cross-border and transnational levels in order to allow the projects to have a wider view and expand their, obviously, impacts and results. So it would be, as Curcio was mentioning, even though some of the countries are not working in all the regions, but the beneficiaries coming from those countries could benefit through the multi-program, also the experience of similar tools or even innovative solutions which are developed in other parts of the Mediterranean, and they could take advantage of these solutions by taking them and using them. Mm-hmm. So I think that this is the most evident fact. That's why I call it cross-contamination.
Cross-contamination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aldo. And also these results at the end will go to the policy level, so that's another effect of all this exercise. Filippo, adesso
So you represent the cross-border program. This is a program among two trans-border nations. So which is your role within this mechanism? What do you see in this mechanism? And which are the values that are cross-border? Curzio said that he didn't want to sell the mechanism, but I want to suggest to every program that they need this mechanism. They have to have this mechanism. I would like to start from our experience, from the first phase, the first part of our experience when we started to use this toolkit. We could broaden our knowledge. So it was important to join different programs, to talk with other people, and we could in this way broaden our horizons. So it is a great opportunity. It is a great opportunity to talk with cross-borders projects and countries. And I would like to say that we are in a phase in which we are promoting this cooperation in different territories. And we started talking about Italy-France Maritime in order to go abroad, to go cross borders and to broaden our horizons, as I've already mentioned. So we would like to broaden the expertise base in the and our experiences, our knowledge. I think that it is important to join this mechanism. Maybe it's something a little bit selfish because we are going to broaden our knowledge, our contacts. We are going to know different ways, with different ways in order to develop solutions that we can use in our regions. I think that I would like to mention some programs such as Italy-Malta, Italy-Montenegro, Italy-Tunisia. So today I would like to talk about it as well, because I hope that these programs can join the players of the pilot project. So I think that here I'm going to talk as director of the Tuscany region and not as director of the project. I think that this is a bottom-up initiative. You have mentioned it. This is a bottom-up initiative that is going to help us in the future, and it is going to join other initiatives that that are top down, and I think that it is really important for the Mediterranean strategy. This is an initiative important that is essential in order to open a debate with the Commission. It is essential, the phase of implementation. So we have to show the reality. We have to make this process concrete. We have to develop some events to start to foster a common dialogue. So here I would like to mention a philosopher who was Chinese, Confucius. If I listen, I forget, but if I see, I can remember. So this was the motto of Confucius, and I think that it is important. We have to show that we have seen it right, and so we could implement it.
And I hope that there will be many questions and many maybe thoughts. I would like to highlight three ideas. First, that has been mentioned, and I think they're all very important, and it's the need of cooperation between transnational and cross-border programs. Not only the Mediterranean and the whole Interreg world, this need of combining. Each of them have an effort. I can see Luca Ferrarese from Central Europe. The idea is that really you cannot work alone anymore. Each of you have such a great added value in the territory that you have to start working together, and this pilot is one of the opportunities that can come, and always from the perspective of capitalization. There are other initiatives in North Europe, but more from the implementation side. They're doing other things, different ways of doing, but yes, they are learning that they need to work together closer. And again, the idea of bottom-up. I remember one of our discussions, meetings, that we were using, it should be bottom-up. No. All these processes should combine bottom-up and top-down. Because if we have a great initiative, but the top, they don't have any support, here we are always saying thank you to the member states that supported us. Thank you to the Commission who is supporting us. Honestly, without Commission and the national delegations, these initiatives will start, but they won't have the possibility of implementing, or at least they will die soon, even though Interact and Tessin will be with you, but it's not the same, I understand. So at least it's just a reflection that we have to always thank the support of the Commission and the states and other national delegations, even though they're not from the EU, and remember bottom-up and top-down approach together, because if not, it's difficult to manage. And now we start with the debate and roundtable, and I would like to ask for a mic. Okay, because I like to go with the mics. This is my facilitation part. So I will ask if any of you have a comment on what we have discussed now, or a question. I can see. Okay, first let's go to Mauro. Mauro, please, can you say with the program you come from? Although everybody may know.
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for this invitation to the Regione Toscana and the other programs. It's really a pleasure to be back among the friends, because we are a big family and we are friends. I think I have also to say that my congratulations, because this is really an excellent initiative. I think you were courageous and you did it, and we want to learn from you. So we are here to learn from you. Our program is Italy, Albania, Montenegro, so a cross-border program. It's in a different area, Adriatic area, but we need this. As you know, we have also the EUSER, the Adriatic Ionian Region Strategy, and we need these kind of examples, because this is really how it could work, to really put together different initiatives under a mechanism, as you explained. What I missed, and I want to ask you maybe to explain us a little bit more, is how you involve the partners, project partners, I mean. Because this is essential. This is where things happen. This is really the projects that are the ones delivering this kind of tools and mechanism that you put together under one hut, if you want to call it like that. The first question. And the second question would be about the next programming period you mentioned. There is the specific objective 4.15 that we all selected. This is about tourism, but it's also about social inclusion. And I think this is something we should reflect a bit, because I believe that this new perspective is pushing us to think about the skills that are missing in the touristic sector as well, and the change, the context that it has changed for the tourism. So we need to make a reflection about this to develop this mechanism even further. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mauro. Eh? I only use one, exactly. Okay. Do you want to answer, maybe? Okay, a couple of them. I think you also wanted, please, could you present your
Thank you, Mercedes. I'll try to be very slow, and maybe answering actually the question that has just been raised. First, thanks for this blending opportunity. I just want to highlight one instrument that we are using that has been implemented for the past decade. We used to implement something called Meta Finance, where we bring all donors, DFIs from the whole world to meet, listen to the beneficiaries, and try to sell to them what we need, not what they think of. And it's been working fine. There's a lot of initiative that has been done. In the past few years, we've been doing it with ENI CBC MED, where huge support was being provided. And what we used to present to them is ideas and outcomes of different CBC projects that require capitalization, but capitalization with funding. We managed to sell a huge number of outcomes to different donors, not only Team Europe, not only the European Commission and the member states, but beyond Team Europe, where we used to have USAID, JICA, and different donors. With that being said, this year, end of the year, we'll be organizing. The title will not be Meta Finance, the title would be Beyond Interreg. And the aim from Beyond Interreg is actually blending between the Interreg family that already successfully is blended with European Commission regional, where we have a number of projects that are supporting, as well as the bilateral for every southern Mediterranean country, as well as all what's provided by member states. So we're blending AFD from France with Italian technical cooperation with the Commission, with USAID, SIDA Canada, JICA, the whole funding family, trying to capitalize and finance projects. So here we invite you all to partake in that, and we'll throw the ball on the Secretariat, where we will need one important element. The box you've been mentioning, all the real outcomes that could be replicated by different donors, where we will be selling it for funding. And also we agreed with the Italian Deputy Prime Minister Tajani, our historical president in the Commission, where he and the Director General of DG NEAR will be integrating that initiative, trying to push as much as possible, like you mentioned, Mercedes, top-down, to support all such initiatives. This is done in cooperation with the Egyptian Ministry of International Cooperation, which is our next MED, I'll use the new name, representative. So I think this will be an opportunity to realize what you've been talking about. And let's not forget, there is 22 billion euros of grants, technical assistance, and soft loans availed for the Mediterranean at large. So here is where let's put better use of them and use the good ideas that come out from the three programs for re-implementation. Thanks.
Thank you very much for the information. Any other would like to... Okay, Alessandra.
Thank you very much, and really I would like also to congratulate you all. It's a great pleasure to be here with you and to see all this happening. I mean, it has been advocated over the past months, and I would say even years, and to see this really materializing is a success in itself. I'd just like maybe to comment also on what the previous colleagues mentioned, but also what has been basically said. Sorry? Sorry, let me introduce myself. I'm Alessandra Senti, of course. I'm the head of sector for environment, green and blue economy at the Union for the Mediterranean. We have, of course, a long-standing collaboration with the joint secretariats at large. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you for being here. And again, it's a pleasure to meet a lot of colleagues and friends. What I would like actually to underline is that during your presentation, you refer indeed to the macro-regional strategies, to subsea basin strategies. So it would be good actually to know a bit more how all the pieces of the puzzle, also together with the fact that indeed the Interreg MED, which has been very open actually to go beyond the scope of, the geographical scope actually of its own mandate, it's opening to the countries of the south as associates, but of course also the next MED is there with its own, let's say, constituency. So how these three pieces are coming together, and how, because it has been mentioned, the macro-regional strategy, the potential macro-regional strategies that you refer to for the whole Mediterranean would actually take into consideration the fact that organizations like the Union for the Mediterranean indeed do represent at large the 43 Euro-Mediterranean countries. I'd like to conclude by referring also to what was mentioned. Indeed, it would be good to have the possibility to combine the regional and bilateral portfolios. Of course, you were referring more maybe to the investment part also in relation to the blending, which of course opens another set of, thinking, I would say, but indeed it's an important point to touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. Do you have enough questions, or shall I continue asking people? Do you want to answer already? What do we continue with the... I know there's some inputs, but that I know that they would like to make. But do you like to answer some of them already, or I go and?
Yes, personally, yes.
Okay, and then I'll come back to, because there are other 2 or 3 comments. Huh?
No, thank you very much for your suggestions. But what I would like to stress first of all is that each program is trying to work also in bilateral way with different organisms, institutions, in order to maximize its own skills and capacities to capitalize, to impact better its own solutions. So this is important also to understand why we are trying to consolidate our different experience, because it will be stronger, our capacity to dialogue also with the European Commission, but not only with the DG Regio.
Yeah,
in particular, we have to face the challenges raised by other thematic programs by the European Commission, managed directly by the European Commission. I think, of course, on Horizon 2020 Europe in the future now, but not only, LIFE, etc., etc. So, even in terms of management, it's easier for them. They have not the same, they didn't experiment it, and they will not experiment the same difficulties we have as a program belonging to the European territorial cooperation. So it's easier for you to profit, to take advantage of other programs. It's worse for us. We, for instance, as Euro MED, we are working we are not alone with the Union for the Mediterranean and with West Med initiative, with other programs, initiatives managed by the European Commission. But it's still in a bilateral way. It will be much more interesting for you and even for us to merge our capacities, and it will be easier also for the other side to hear only one single voice and not the same voices trying to proposing them the same solution. So this is the first objective for the mechanism. I try to be short. Partners, we finalize the first step now. This day was our first objective, to experiment how, if it was possible to work all together. But the real objective is to enlarge the initiative to other programs. And for that, everything has to be built. Everything has to be decided. So nothing is decided yet. This is important for the other programs. It was our choice. We draft a working plan only till 2023 in order to have 2024 to work with other programs, also with the contribution of the projects, in order to build new expectations, new challenges for the new programming period. So it's open, everything is possible. This is why we are waiting for you.
Okay, I think there are some programs here before. Maybe you would like to say something?
Thank you, Mercedes. Hello, I'm Silvia Comiati. I'm from the Italy-Croatia program. I'm one of those programs that could potentially join the mechanism. We have been working with the MED Lab community in the past months. We're working a lot on capitalization as well, so these are some of the keywords that we hear today are, I think, very important also for our program. I think we also discussed 1 month ago in Dubrovnik with some colleagues about this possibility. Now I think it's important for us to understand what could be, if you already have it in mind, or if we can design it together, what could be the, let's say, the path we can go together to join this mechanism, what you expect from us. Somehow if we need to do or to be prepared with something to get into that, and we don't have the details of your action plan so far. I heard it today. You probably could send it to us, but I think in order to be ready to join, maybe it's important for us to add some kind of list of things to be prepared about, and things we can do and we can prepare in the next months in order to be effective and operative to join. So I would like just to confirm our interest as we already said, and confirm that our monitoring committee has already decided to actually join this mechanism, even in the programming phase. So we are here and we are available for that. Thank you.
So congratulations for your program. Let's see.
Ecco, Ludovico Gherardi.
I'm Ludovico Gherardi. I'm the coordinator of our program for the region Emilia-Romagna, which focuses on this. I would like to focus on some things that maybe sound strange. I think that it is important to broaden the cooperation among the programs. I think that we all cooperate in an informal way among each other. If you remember, I don't remember if 2013 or 2014-20, we had the different slides in which we could see the number of the programs that were taking place. And I think that maybe there could be some confusion. Of course, yes, I think that the cooperation among programs is necessary in order to strengthen the main points and the objective of cooperation. But which kind of cooperation and which kind of strategy do we use? Here I would like to mention the macro-regional strategies. With our program, we depend on others, and we help the macro-regional strategy for the Adriatic-Ionic region. This region has the name of two seas, but it is a land territory, so this is something strange. And another thing that is strange is that we are in Mediterranean, because the Ionic Sea and the Adriatic Sea are part of the Mediterranean area. So when I hear Mediterranean strategy, I ask myself, and the Ionic Adriatic strategy, which role does it play? So what can we do? Which are the strategies that we can use for this cooperation, and how can the territorial cooperation help these strategies? So I would like to mention again these slides of the last years. I think that there are many overlaps. There are many strategies which overlap, and we are based on the Danubian and Alpine strategy. Here with me I have Luca Ferrarese. Luca Ferrarese has a program that is not connected to any programs, but it has to. This program has to do with many strategies. So I would like to conclude with different things. First of all, I would like to mention the cross-border and transnational programs. which is the task of a transnational program. This program has to create synergies among the different programs which are within a single area. I think that we all manage transnational people. We all manage translational projects, and we all know this thing. Then we would like to focus on the direct programs of the Commission. So we would like to find some points that have some common things. So. But the question is why? And the answer is we would like to make a greater contribution for the territories, and it is important to mention it, and it is important to have a contact point with mainstream programs and with the regional programs. So at that point, I think that the mechanism, but I ask your confirm, I think that the mechanism is something that outlined the role of the transnational and cross-border programs and how we can agree and find solutions together with the Mediterranean strategy or Ionic, Adriatic or Alpine strategy. So I think that we should try to make the processes easier, and we also have to mention the stakeholders, because thanks to them we can develop something positive for us. And here I would like to conclude. I think that the programs can do something, but the most important thing they can do is joining projects and join things that can solve shared issues. So I think that in this way we could achieve some results. I conclude. Thank you, Ludovico. I think that it was really interesting. Buongiorno, sono Monia Sana, rappresento la collettività corsica and I think that is perfect because I would like to mention what you said before. I'm here. I have to do with different projects and I think that communication is something really important. Communication among the projects was good, was positive, and these projects communicate even though they do not know the real mechanism that we are going to use. We are also focusing on the valorization of the tourism. We are working for the project Community for Future within the Euro MED. And we would like to know how we are going to implement this mechanism. I'm mentioning something that is something different. I'm mentioning something different, but I think that we are going to have a concrete step of the implementation, and I hope that you can give us some answers. Maybe you can be more precise in your answer. Thank you, Monia. I represent the Provence in Côte d'Azur. Yes, this was the question that I was asking myself at the beginning. I'm not talking about the political context, about the European political context, but I would like to mention the objective, and I would like to mention your contribution, Curzio. I think that we should have some contact points. I would like to ask which toolkit are we going to have in order to implement this coordination among projects? What tools are we going to have in order to be more transparent?
Do you want to answer, or there's a last, you answer and then there is a last, okay. Exactly, yeah.
mentre discutono accanto solo.
While they are discussing, they are talking here. I think that today we didn't answer the question that you mentioned. Today, we decided to talk about this, but we want to meet again in order to build what you said. So our goal is not simply outlining the European programs. We have different tools, we have different rules. You all know these rules, the tools. But I think that the people who want to join us can meet with us later, and then we can find some answers. This is my short answer. Okay, we are going to answer two different questions. I would like to talk about the social part of tourism. I think we are in the right place because today we can understand that the phenomenon of tourism is an important phenomenon that has to do with society, a phenomenon that has a social impact. Of course, this social impact can be positive or negative. So a great part of population in the center lives thanks to tourism, but there's also a part of population who thinks that tourism is not an opportunity, but it is a problem. So in Italy, we can mention this. Some policymakers noticed that the impact of tourism on the center of Italy played an important role, and these policymakers understood it during the pandemic. And but we can see it every day. We can see it thanks to the stores. Because we can see that in the evening the center of Florence is empty. So I think that the social dimension of tourism, both the positive and negative aspects, have to be considered. Then I would like to mention the projects. I think that the projects are essential for us. The main aspect, the main focus is on projects. So we talked about opportunities. We talked about the opportunities that can help us, and we mentioned it as far as projects are concerned. So I think that projects are something good, something positive for our strategy. They are projects that can outline different solutions, different shared solutions. They are some programs that can help to improve the European cooperation, European community cooperation. So I just wanted to mention it.
Yes, I would like to add a couple of things. First of all, I would like to thank you for the comments you've made. I think that knowing that there are other programs which are willing to join is already good news for us. Now, one little thing in addition to what Philippe has just mentioned in terms of the roles of the project partners and the projects as a main focus. Obviously, the rest of the day we will present some of the what we have considered the most useful results of the different projects financed by the 3 programs on the field of sustainable tourism. So projects, first of all, are our main source of inspiration first. However, we do analyze something from a program perspective, and we would not like to impose, as our friend Alaed from Egypt pointed out, and he said, we consult our stakeholders, our partners, and that this is what we would like to do. So it's a process that starts from the projects, goes to the program, but goes back to the projects, because we would like also to know what the project thinks about what we have found. And this is evident also in the strategy that we are willing to share with those programs which are interested, and will be, I think, more evident when you look at the document. So the most ambitious objective is trying to reply also to what Lodovico was asking, yes, we would like, and I mentioned it also in my previous intervention, common terms of references, meaning that we would like to launch a call for proposal, I mean, different calls for proposals, because as I said, each program has its own budget, its own rules, but with the same terms of references. And this is something that we, as a Next Med, we aim at doing it for the call for capitalization projects, which will be launched in the next couple of years. So we do have time also to start using this and start working within the mechanism. But as I said, the three programs have different and positive and vast experiences in capitalization, different capitalization modalities. I mean, today we're going to use one of the sort of the modality that Maritimo used, sort of a joining labs, so that we have structured the workshop using their methodology. So, and these are actually, I think, the things that are very interesting also at program level, because all of us have lots of experience, but working together is also trying to see how the others are working. And maybe there is something that we can learn, there is something we can improve, there is something we can offer and we can get. And I think that this is a crucial point that we would like also to make it also at project level, because projects actually should do the same. Knowing what a project financed by the Maritime or by Euro MED and see what solutions they have developed could be very interesting for our Egyptian colleagues or Lebanese beneficiaries. So I think that this is crucial. Then we are very pleased, Silvia, that your monitoring committee has already agreed and at least trying to see. I think that Curzio said it right. We need to sit down around the table, not today, obviously, but we can plan something more technical with also after you have seen the documents. I think it will be good. And for Lodovico, yes, Lodovico, I think, we know that you are binded by the Adriatic-Ionic macro-regional strategy. And I think that, it's true. I mean, transnational programs should try to make these, the synergies among the programs working in the same area. And what we're trying to do, and this is why we're not just transnational programs joining the multi-program, but I am very, very content, even though at the very beginning I was a little bit skeptic when Giovanna said, I'm interested in joining this when we first start talking about this mechanism. Oh, Maritimo is very interested in trying to join this. And I was a little bit skeptical because, at a certain point, Maritimo is a cross-border program with a very limited geographical area compared to the geographical area that Curzio and I have in our transnational programs. But I can tell you that we have seen the potential useful participation of the Maritimo in our multi-program strategy, and I think that we are all providing our contribution at different levels. I think that this is the key aspect. So more than speaking about different roles of the transnational programs, within the multi-program mechanism, I think it is important to outline the different knowledge that we could bring at transnational level and what we could get from the other transnational programs, but also, and most importantly, from the cross-border level. And it will be very interesting when this comes into the implementing phase, because at that point, we will have a concrete exchange of these. And I would probably leave the considerations on the contribution to the macro-regional strategies and how we can cope with the macro-regional strategies. I think the participation in the multi-program is not against this aspect, meaning that we have Alessandra from the Union for the Mediterranean, for example, and working with other initiatives which actually work at policy level should be actually our source of inspiration also, because we can get exactly the idea where countries, I mean, the UFM is also a big organization where all the countries of the Mediterranean are represented. So for certain topics, the Union for the Mediterranean for us is very interesting at knowing where all the countries would like to go towards. And this is good, and this requires lots of exchange of information, obviously at different levels. And I think that this can be the same also with the macro-regional strategies. I mean, there are objectives which are set there, but I think that this can be, in any case, not an obstacle for the participation of those programs which are binded by the macro-regional strategies, such as the Adrian program. Once again, I think that working together is a challenge. I mean, we are not forcing other programs to 100% join the multi-program, because at a certain point a program can only be, allow me to say, an observer, meaning that you maybe are interested in the results of the multi-program or in providing your inputs, but you might not be interested in fully participating in the multi-program. It's an option, and this was actually our objective at the very beginning. If I'm not mistaken, that maybe Curzio can complement. The very beginning we said, okay, we want to do something. We are committed in working together, the three programs at least, but we do not want to force anyone either to fully adhere to this or to be out. I mean, there are different compromises, different possibilities. We can talk about this, and obviously sovereignty of the programs will remain there, and this is crystal clear and crucial for us as well. I stop here. I don't know if Curzio wants to add anything, or if I forgot to answer any question.
There are other comments, though. I have other two comments, and maybe you could complete something. I have a comment here from Luca Ferrarese, from an outsider, maybe. How are you seeing this from Central Europe? And then I'll go to the last question, Rosario Sapienza from Tessim, who's going to give us good news. And I'm not saying advancing anything.
Hi, and I'm very happy to be here today. I'm Luca Ferrarese. I represent the managing authority of the Interreg Central Europe program. So we are in Vienna, Austria, but we have also still a little bit of area which is bordering with the Mediterranean. Well, today I'm here just to listen, to learn from you. I really admire and envy you, what you did so far. We are very open to synergies. In our area is different, is a little bit more complicated. We have much more higher number of small cross-border programs in which very often they're willing to coordinate, to create synergies, but they lack capacity. And I would like to point to the fact that these mechanisms very often depend on capacity of programs to do things. So overall, what I could hear today is that the approaches you are proposing, meaning combining top-down with bottom-up, is totally the way forward. We did something similar with the DG Research at the European Commission when we had a call which we did together with Horizon, starting from the results of the project for capitalization. And this is where I think you're hitting the right point. You have to look at the projects, and as programs, what we can do is to offer opportunities to projects, offer opportunities to match, to cross-integrate, to cross-fertilize, as we say, to exchange, and to offer them the possibility, starting from a project in a program, to apply to another program, or maybe to apply for other funding which is outside this program, for example, in the mainstreaming program, which is another completely open let's say, it's a black box how to access this funding for Interreg stakeholders. So to conclude, I would say that in our view and in our experience, it's important to keep the projects at the first point. Our stakeholders, our territories, strategies and other, let's say, overarching organizations can be helper. They can facilitate the process, but the starting point and the last point and the end point is always the project. And in this, I think we have always to keep them, and this is where we need to work as programs. And then, of course, on this basis, to find the mechanism, the how to involve the projects from the very beginning.
Thank you, Luca. And before we finish and give the floor to...
Thank you very much, Mercedes. This is Rosario Sapienza from TESIM. I'm also quite excited to be here after many discussions and many years of, let's say, exercise. And this is very tangible and very good. So I just joined the wishful thinking and the congratulations to you. More and more we proceed into the discussion. I think there are three levels that stands as a very clear. You started with the most tough one. At program level, coordination is a hard job. But we learned also from Dubrovnik that at project level is probably more organic, more easy. You spoke about all your differences, which it's a richness itself. So it's quite interesting to know how to digest all the different differences at program level. But I wonder at project level if all those differences remain, taking into consideration the fact that we work for the same challenges. So maybe at the territorial level, things are not so different, and maybe coordination between projects is more organic, more natural. And this is a strength we need to use. And thinking about territories, there is a third layer that stands quite important, which is the territorial level. And listening all these input that are today here brings in front the cross-border dimension as well. Maybe cross-border programs have a say into this dialogue you started, which is a dialogue more than a mechanism. I always somehow argue that this is a very important process that goes beyond the aesthetic of the mechanism, especially where we touch new ideas, as have been pointed out in the relation with the macro-regional strategies or in the relation with the mainstream or direct funded initiative by the Commission. So somehow you started a journey. You are not sure where you get. Maybe you can focus on the first 24 months, that's good. But let's remember that there are other players that can add many other things, starting from the cross-border programs. And I'm WhatsApping with Sicily at the moment. They are on streaming, they cannot contribute directly, but they want me to say to you that both Italy, Malta and Italy, Tunisia is willing to join the mechanism. They are ready to put this into the monitoring committee for approval. And of course, as Silvia said, probably the most important thing is now stepping into the onboarding procedure in order to understand what needs to be done. So thank you again for this.
We are really a delay. I think that we want a last 15 seconds comment and we finish. Okay?
No, I just want to say one important thing. We have last month really realized what we're talking about. We had the Union for the Mediterranean, Italian Technical Cooperation, 6 PRIMA programs, 7 ENI CBC programs, and 40 million euros were availed by the Italian government for actual physical implementation. So what we're talking about is really working. It really can be realized, that's all.
I would like to start. So there are many people and many topics. We're here for tourism. We talk about society, economy, and environment. Today here we have Joseph Rodriguez. He is responsible for European projects and international relations, and Aurélie Moulin, researcher in marine ecology at the CIMA Research Foundation. I would like that they explain how we can have a sustainable tourism, an environmentally sustainable tourism, and a tourism that is the driving force for economy. So it is a tourism that has to do with many topics, and this is what our programs are doing, the programs that we are presenting today. So I give the floor to Joseph and then to Aurélie.
Hello.
Per favore, s'il vous plaît. Thank you.
Asseyez-vous.
Sit down.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us. On behalf of the Community for Tourism project, we are one of the governance projects of the Euro MED program in the axis of sustainable tourism. And jointly with the institutional dialogue projects, we manage what we call the mission sustainable tourism within the program. For us, it's a privilege to be here because I could imagine a lot of synergies with the activities we have to carry out in the next 7 years with all the programs affecting the Mediterranean area. In fact, in the former programming period, we were managing also the community of the sustainable tourism, and we were concerned about what was happening in other programs. And we have a database of outputs produced by EU-funded projects, cross-border, transnational, interregional, but also other European programs like COSME. And this database collects more than 200 outputs that were defined by these programs in the Mediterranean. We have shared this tool with a mechanism, and is available for all of you. So, well, let's talk about tourism. I have been requested by the organizers to talk about these points, to talk about what are the central elements to keep the balance among tourism and the impact on environment and local communities. What is the role of cooperation among stakeholders? And finally, what could be those, let's say, winning ingredients to accelerate the sustainability of the tourist destinations in the Mediterranean? So when I was preparing the presentation, I asked myself, are we in a new era of tourism, or this is just a wishful thinking? What has been also the impact of the commit in the situation? So in order to answer to this question, let me first show you 4 images, 4 slides, trying to set the scene and understand what is the situation. And the first one refers to a pre-pandemic perspective. This was produced by the World Tourism Organization in 2017, and this is the forecast of international tourist arrivals till 2030 in the world. What is the idea behind this image? Europe is the leading destination in the world, as you can see. Asia will take over the leadership in 2050, more or less, but Europe is the leading destination, and the Mediterranean in particular is the most important region in terms of tourism in the world. But if you see the curve, if you believe that we have many tourism, there will be growing numbers in the future. That was the perspective on that time. And why this happens? Because when we talk about the current world, we are in a hypermobility world. Tourism is not only leisure. People is traveling for leisure, is traveling for sport, for health, for business, for education, for religion. We are moving around for several reasons. And that's why many experts are not longer talking about tourism, they are talking about visitors' economy, because the people in your destination are there because they have different motivation, different purposes to be there, but they are tourists as well. So keep this idea in mind because it's important. So growing numbers in the future and visitors' economy. What happened with the COVID? As you can see, COVID have a very negative aspects, as you can imagine. But over the last 3 years, we have been a progressive recuperation of destinations in the world. If you see to this data, this is from the barometer of the WTO that was published 4 weeks ago. It shows that Europe and the Middle East are performing very well. It means that they have recuperated around 80% of tourist arrivals that they had in 2019. So it seems that the tendency, the trend, is to recuperate these growing numbers we have in the past. COVID has been a sort of parenthesis, and once you get out of it, you want to recuperate the lost time. Yeah, you want to recuperate the numbers. But on the other hand, on the positive side, COVID also gave us some opportunities to rethink the model, to bring this new narrative, to talk about quality over quantity, to accelerate digitalization and sustainability discussions that we have in the past, to pay attention to the local residents, and to consider proximity as a value. So with the COVID, we have this balance between negative and positive aspects. But if we recuperate these past growing numbers, we will recuperate as well some problems, some externalities that tourism is producing in the destinations. In the meantime, other challenges emerge. Of course, we have the inflation, we have the war in Ukraine, we have new disrupting technologies. We are talking about artificial intelligence, metaverse, 5G, and so on. We have the digital nomads, we have the teleworking. We don't know how this will evolve in the future. We have demographic changes because our main markets, the European markets, are an aging society, so we have to adapt our destinations to this new reality. But one of the most important challenges we have so far is the climate emergency. And let me pay your attention to this image. It compares, this is from a relevant reading that I strongly recommend you. You can see here the title. This compares the business as usual pathway, the emissions, these are the emissions of the tourist sector, and the pathway we should follow if we want to accomplish with the European targets. So what are you going to do to reduce your emissions by half by 2030 or to be neutral by 2050? This is a question we have to put ourselves in order to respond to the climate emergency. And final image to explain the situation from my perspective. This is a summary of the European Tourist Transition Pathway. This is the roadmap that the European Commission have developed in a collaborative process with several stakeholders, trying to identify what are the challenges of the tourist sector for the next decade. What I like from this exercise is they are having this integral view, this 360 view on what is the tourism. Tourism are these 27 topics. It's talking about short-term accommodations, it's talking about mobility, it's talking about skills of the workforce, it's talking about circular economy. So if you are a destination, you have to look to all these topics to understand what is happening in your destinations. For sure, you will be more affected for ones or others. But what is important is that you have to have this global approach of the tourist phenomena. So what is the answer? Are we in a new era of tourism? In my opinion, yes. But not only for the COVID. I think that we are in a new era of humanity, let's say. There are many challenges at this moment, and we have to deal with, we have to face them. And the tourism, for sure, have to also is concerned on how to tackle all these challenges. Saying that, what could be, from my perspective, the main challenges for the destinations? First one would be the governance. As I said, you have to have this global approach of tourism, so you have to establish the cooperation with the stakeholders involved in all those topics, at least at destination level. The second will be the sustainability. But what is sustainability? Some experts are saying that to talk about sustainable tourism is not enough. And many times sustainable tourism is used as a greenwashing or as a buzzword. And many experts are telling that it would be more convenient to talk about responsible tourism or even regenerative tourism. That in few words means that the tourists should contribute in a positive way once they left the destination. Third challenges is most of the destinations are interested in the concentrate the tourist offer, break the seasonality. This is a great program in the Mediterranean, and also to increase the expenditure, the per capita expenditure. And to do that, the best way is to diversify the tourist offer. So try to find another tourist products and other kind of markets that could be interesting for our destinations. The fourth is clear, as I mentioned, how to decarbonize the tourist industry in the destination. Another challenges will be the accessibility and the mobility, how to move the tourists not only from the origin to the destination, but also how they move within the destination using sustainable mobility means. The digitalization is a key challenge. It's a huge challenge because there are many disrupting technologies at this moment, and you have to adopt them into the value chains or the destination. The big data. Tourism is a sector that produces a lot of data, but many times this information is not accessible, is very expensive, or you don't have enough skills to analyze them and to use it for managing purposes. So this is very important. And finally, as I said, the personalization and customization take into account the different interests of the different kind of tourists. What's the role of cooperation? Well, when we talk about cooperation in tourism, we have to take into account that for some fields of intervention, we are competitors. We are competing to attract visitors to our destinations, but we could identify some spheres where there are incentives for cooperation. In my opinion, I would distinguish three spheres. Those projects where there is a clear transnational dimension, for instance, to develop a transnational route, a cross-border route. Projects where we cannot do it alone, or we do it better if we do it in cooperation, for instance, to establish standards of digitalization, sustainability, indicators, climate action plans, observatories, and so on. And third, a panoply of topics where this mutual learning and development of joint solutions could improve our management within the destination. So, as a summary, I won't say the winning ingredients. I would say what is the behavior, what is the attitude that we should take into account. And on that, I will highlight this central idea. Manage your destination. many destinations have been focused on the marketing purposes, but now the central idea is that you have to manage, also you have to make marketing as well, but you have to decide what to do with your destinations. And this means adopt this global approach, and this global from tourism to visitor economy, to understand why people is going to your destination, to establish the governance accordingly to your goals. So once you have defined what are your strategic plans, look for the suitable partners to do it. To preserve the essence, so why people is choosing our Mediterranean destinations. We have to preserve the assets, the natural heritage assets, or if you are not happy with the kind of tourists coming to your destination, make the steps towards the new model to change it. Innovate and make the most of the latest in technologies, developments in sustainability and digitalization. Prepare your action plan, and in this sense, the Glasgow Declaration on Tourism, Climate Change is a good starting point to orientate on how to prepare this kind of strategies. And finally, I would say learn from the others, and this is our business as European territorial cooperation programs. So, just to conclude, the good news is that we, as a EuroMed program, we will have the opportunity to work in this new phase of the EuroMed with this transversal view of the tourism. Tourism will be a transversal priority. So we will have the opportunity to work with projects dealing with innovation and new technologies, circular economy, biodiversity protection, and also climate change. So in fact, we are going to in our projects, we are going to set up some clusters to divide it into those 4 projects. And we expect that we will have the opportunity to work with all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
In English, in Italian, because it's my country now where I'm living, but still, I'm sorry for the language if I'm not speaking correct Italian. So, inizierò la mia presentazione su...
I will begin my presentation on the possible conclusions about the question, are we faced with a new phase of tourism, a rethinking of tourism, or is that we have to find new solutions, but we still haven't found the right solutions? Basically, this diagram is easy to understand, and you can notice that for Europe there has been an economic impact on tourism. But I would like to draw your attention to the fact that tourism that doesn't only mean attracting people to our countries, but also enabling people to take advantage of the resources of the country, and then also discovering the characteristics of territories that tourism don't know very well. And so we have to work on 2 aspects: attracting tourists, but also, as Mr. Rodriguez said, we have to work on proximity tourism as well. That is, focusing on making the most of our territory so that it can be loved by people. Another difficulty we're facing in the tourism sector is that we are using funds for sustainable tourism, but the problem is that it is a very wide sectors needing a lot of different actions. And we have many difficulties for sustainable tourism. That is in reference to four pillars, four very important pillars. Society, because tourism for society means that tourism must be accessible to anyone, also for disabled people. Or then the environment. Of course, tourism should allow to reach the 2030 objective, environmental objective. Then culture, we have to maintain it and to foster it, and actually Interreg has worked on strengthening cultural heritage so that it is not lost due to globalization. And then finally the economic sector. It's not less important, but it is actually the driver for all the other experts. The problem is we have to find a balance among these four activity sectors, four pillars. And so this is our main challenge. Of course, our objective is to have a perfect city where technologies are available to anyone, and tourists can arrive without any mobility problems, as has been explained in other speeches before. And to achieve the objective of a perfect city means having a complete understanding of what it takes to get it. And to sum up the actual situation and what could we do to achieve this objective, is actually the focus of this 2019 report, where, as this morning, as it was pointed out this morning, actually this report says that the European Union, we have a shared objective for this, and for territories this means also to have specific actions. Then I won't go into detail on specific aspects that have been dealt with before today, but I think to me it is important to underline the local governance aspect, because when we talk about sustainability, regions, municipalities, territories, actually for them governance is important, and there are a lot of activities that we should consolidate in this respect, especially for data reporting, because having a standard data reporting would be easier to monitor all the activities that are necessary to ensure that each territory does not suffer a big impact due to difficulties. But now I'm gonna approach the topic from another point of view. I mean, the process is not necessarily just bottom-up, but it is actually important to stress that when a community work together, and when I'm talking about community, I'm talking about local community in all sectors, and there's difficulty to have all sectors being around the same table, but if it is possible to work on a management planning all together with some governance proposals, this can be very useful. And actually, very often we get and see the results of a very long work, which is not easy to develop. And then, actually, through decisions among different types of stakeholders and through management, governance that is actually developed by the local authorities. And this process, I mean, ideally, invites local people to reflect on the situation of their territory, trying to understand how the territory could develop. through a SWOT analysis based on the objectives and the positive points of all trends available, and then trying to understand what are the winning points. And for the future, we have different scenarios that are possible, but then eventually with all stakeholders together reflecting on these scenarios, we can think about an optimized kind of future for anyone, comprising all the assets of the 4 pillars I was mentioning before. And of course, then we should evaluate over time if the future we imagined, which is not the perfect future, but it is a more sustainable future for anyone, then we should assess whether this approach should be actually changed in order to get even better results for the future. But in fact, in real facts, what could we say? There's an example I would like to bring about. There's an international agreement which is quite complex, involving 24 countries represented here in violet color, and these 24 countries have the objective to propose city conservation plans. A very specific example, but just to show you what can be done. So, in this particular agreement, the objective was to preserve cities, and observing also the condition of the seas for coastal areas. And this can bring about both positive and negative aspects, but we have, anyway, to create a framework. And how was this framework developed? Starting from a bottom-up approach. This is the first thing that was proposed at the beginning in 2001, in this case, the National Park of Portclo, was the participation of several stakeholders, including those who had already started in economic activity, but also researchers, maritime authorities, and all the stakeholders proposed a series of measures. And an evaluation was carried out as well, evaluation of economic interest and impact, and then, as I was saying, a series of measures was proposed for conserving cities, and in the end of 2014 a brand was proposed defining how this brand can be implemented, considering several aspects. That is, this brand is not to have earnings, but it is proposing economic operators to follow training so that they can be informed, have more informed about also environmental aspects, such as the health of the sea and fish, for example. And then the focus was not just the product concerning, for example, sea quality observation, but also making the most of territories, for example, local biodiversity, and also a comprehensive activity on education, so that people can get to know what kind of activities are carried out, research activities, whatever that is carried out by the operators involved. Data is then collected, and then the data is shared also for policy-making purposes. And then finally, but I think this is also a very interesting objective, is evaluating tourism or tourist satisfaction. In particular, considering what kind of tourism we have. Sometimes we notice some transitions in tourism. For example, 10 years ago, tourists were less attentive. Now, gradually, we have a first, second generation of tourists who love bird watching, for example. And so they are looking at the territory in a completely different way compared to the past. So basically, this concept that was proposed by ECOPEM was proposed in France first in 2014, and then in 2015 in Monaco, and then in Italy, thanks to an Interreg program. And it's important to underline that because Interreg enabled to make cooperation something real, something really functioning. Then briefly, EcoStream, this project that enabled to carry out this activity, was financed within for competitiveness of businesses with 3 interventions: investment on the territory for accessibility, networking, not only for efficiency, quality conservation, because we also considered other kind of partners, not only natural parks, for example, Antri Toscana with the municipality network and so on, and then solutions with new sustainable products. As regards what I was saying before, we wanted to duplicate was the French approach had realized, had achieved, adapting to the Italian context, which sometimes is slightly different from France. So globally, the project was had several kind of aspects involved, not just bird watching. And again, we try to duplicate the approach to create a network in between local authorities, natural parks, researchers, research institutions, regional government, and those operating in several sectors. And we also had some virtual tours, several kind of offers to actually diffuse knowledge about what has been done. So what is my message today? For example, today there is this fish in front of Arenzano in Liguria, Italy. It jumps and tourists are happy. They want to look at it closer, and this could be also a result of climate change, actually, because in the past this kind of fish didn't come closer to the coast like now. But now we have these humpback whales coming closer to the coast. And the people are not informed about this climate change program, but it is something that attracts people and everyone wants to see these whales. But the thing is that with climate change would also actually find new solutions to face that. And because, for example, if people that get closer to this kind of fish, for example, local people and these people, if this people is informed about what it means, to get closer to these whales and causing stress to them, okay? Then things could change. For example, today we had a press release from the Portugal authorities saying that watch out, getting closer to these waves, and the fact that they actually move the tail very often. This means that the whale is irritated, is stressed. So we should absolutely act on knowledge for our local community and think about this, because tourism is going to grow with our citizens and with visitors who will come. So we will have the difficulty to find a balance between culture, environment, economic service, which means a lot of money, and society. And so a balance for a future that all of us would like to have has a different kind of future with a single solution that is being able to integrate all local community policies in a bottom-up approach, and then of course using also top-down approach, because it must be two-way kind of approach, but in the end to find solutions for the future of our tourism. Thank you very much.
Grazie, grazie. A questo punto passerei la
Thank you. I would like to give the floor to the speaker who are going to tell us about the projects. We have Irene Olga, Adel Matic, Elena Conti, and we have Lutesia Baini in streaming. I go away.
We are a little bit running late, so I will try to be brief. I'm happy to be here today with you on this conference on behalf of Ministry of Regional Development and EU Funds of Croatia. Okay. Sorry.
Of the toolkit.
Okay.
Just,
Okay, we'll be very fast. We'll just give you an overview of the actual very first product of the coordination mechanism. Since a toolkit has been produced, so I will let my dear colleagues introduce this toolkit and how it was built and what you can find in it, and then we'll move to our dear projects. Thank you.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Before presenting the toolkit, I think that we have to step back and we have to explain why we decided to set up this toolkit. More than 700 million tourists in the year 2019 decided to come to the Mediterranean region, and we think that in 2025 this data is going to be the same. Then we have the projects, the Interreg projects. They are really essential, and they focused on the Mediterranean area, and they focused on the three programs of Interreg in the year 2014-2021. Then we have 390 programs that have been developed during the period 2014-2020. They focused on sustainable tourism. This is data that is just that explains just something. The first explanation is that the Mediterranean area is important not only for tourism, for economy, but it is also important for projects. Then we have a high number of players who develop some knowledge about the sustainable tourism, and many of them are here today with us, many of them are in streaming, and we thank you. Then we have an extraordinary heritage of networks, actions, and solutions that have been developed among the multi-program area. And we started to ask that this heritage becomes a collective heritage. So we decided to go beyond the single programs, and we decided to take into account the capitalization and the innovation. So we have to take into account the knowledge, the experiences that that players had during the years and among different programs, and we decided to develop different new projects and to make them innovative. So Toolkit was born thanks to this idea. So on the one hand side, we would like to acknowledge this extraordinary heritage that we have, and on the other hand side, we have an instrument that is really efficient and effective, and we would like to make this efficient in order to find new solutions and new knowledges for these programs. Now I would like to give the floor to Olga. She's going to talk about how this toolkit was realized, was set up. I'm going to talk in French. What is this toolkit? It is a catalog of projects that we're going to present. it is going to be a rapid and fast presentation because I think that you can see it. You can find a QR code on your badge and you can access the PDF of this toolkit. It is an interactive PDF. It's based on CDFI. We outlined 6 different challenges among the 3 programs. The programs that have been presented. So we have 6 challenges that we have to face, and we decided we could select the projects that could help us addressing these challenges, and we outlined some projects that had to do with the transferable decisions. We don't have to forget that we have to take into account the capitalization, the products of this catalog, and the objective is sharing the good practices, good solutions, in order to create a shared knowledge among the players. So for this reason, we had to make a selection based on the different processes. In fact, we have different projects, and it was really difficult to do this selection, this choice. So we decided to choose the projects that are the most important for us and the projects that are really part of a greater variety of projects. This catalog is just one part, one proof in order to show the synergies among the different projects. It's just a start, so we wish that this project can be broadened in the future. We hope that we are going to have many more programs and that we are going to be able to present a new product with new synergies. I'm not going to explain the details of the catalog. We have 3 representatives of the projects who are going to talk about it, about the practice of it, so we are going to be able to listen to them. Now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Marta.
An invitation really to download it, to use it actually, because different Interreg programs, not just our 2 programs, are really in the launching phase of calls for proposals. So especially in this new programming phase, our message is to start from existing solutions, to scale up existing good practices, solutions that have been already implemented, and to further develop them. And the cool toolkit, even if it's a, let's say, partial outlook on what has been achieved in sustainable tourism by our 3 respective programs, offer you this opportunity, maybe not to start again from scratch, but to start from something that is already existing and not to reinvent the wheel. So really we invite you to make use as much as possible of the toolkit. You will find a series of concrete outputs that have been developed by projects, different type of outputs. They could be governance model, platforms, pilot actions to address some of the main challenges in tourism. So I think for all of you which are preparing proposal using the toolkit, it may be an added value. I can talk for our program. We are working to launch the first call for proposal of Interreg Next MED, and we have introduced a specific evaluation criteria where actually those projects which will be able to demonstrate that they will make use of existing results and to scale up those results, so not starting from 0, but maybe to start from 50 and arrive to 100, will get, let's say, a good consideration in our evaluation grid. And the catalog is also a networking tool. I mean, by consulting the good practices, you can also then have a further look at who has been implemented. As it was mentioned by Aldo, it's a cross-contamination. So we would like also to see to expand the horizon of our respective communities as Interreg MED, as Interreg Euro MED, as Interreg Italy, France Maritime. I mean, if a good practice has been implemented to address over-tourism in Florence, why not to implement it in another area of the Mediterranean area? So in the Mediterranean region, so this is also an added value of our catalog. So Interreg knows no borders, but I also like to say that Interreg knows no copyright. It's an open source material for you, so we really encourage you to use it as much as possible. We would like to have, from the program, to have this direct connection with the projects. We're not pretending that this is covering everything, but this is covering a part of the job that has been and the results that have been achieved by our respective communities. So now we'll give the floor to our distinguished panelists. So for each program, we will hear about a good practice that has been implemented that has been included in the catalog. So Mr. Alen Matic from Croatia, Elena Conti from Italy, and we also have Leticia with us from Lebanon. So we also have this diversity of geography, which makes actually our Interreg community so rich. So Alen, the floor is yours. You will introduce yourself and what has been achieved with the Panorama projects under Interreg MED program. Thank you. The floor is yours. It's up to you. Okay. So, and I'd like to ask all three speakers to for the time management, if it's possible, since unfortunately we're running a bit late, but we are eager to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My today's topic is try to present you what has been done within the Panorama with creating and capitalizing synergies in the area of sustainable tourism. So the starting point, actually the objective of Panorama Work Package 5, Coastal and Maritime Tourism, was to increase the competitiveness and attractiveness of the Mediterranean destinations. And we actually identified the main challenges at that point, which were growing tourism flows, seasonality, insufficient cooperation, and inadequate data management. Work Package 5 of Panorama was mostly oriented on the improvement of tourism governance and reinforcement of sustainable development and enhancing its transferability, of course, capitalization of all the results and deliverables. It is very important to stress out that within the thematic area of coastal and maritime tourism, two strategic projects were developed. These are SmartMed and BestMed, which were kind of important tools to implement the better governance. So which tools did we develop during the Panorama implementations? First of all, Gaps and Growth Opportunity Report. So GGR was addressed the challenges of key areas, giving priority to the integrated and informed tourism governance for smart and more resilient destinations. We identified certain tools for better governance within the GGR analysis, and those are training, participatory processes, institutional support, and information dissemination strategies. Key policy paper, on the other hand, continued the way that Gap and Growth Opportunity Report started. Main points were that key policy paper capitalized results of the GGR and transformed them into key issues, but also the most important, we identified relevant recommendations to be put into practice. So these recommendations were prepared with the simple goal to boost the tourism sector and at the same time to reduce its negative environmental, economic and social impact. But I would say the most important, what we've done through the creating and capitalizing on synergies in the Mediterranean area was actually through the document scheme for coordination modalities between Panorama and its strategic projects, so SmartMed and BestMed. This document has its importance because it outlines the methodology of evaluation, monitoring and capitalization between PanorAMed and strategic projects SmartMed and BestMed. Its goal was actually to quality contribute to the program capitalization goals in wider area, but also to enable a beneficial two-way interaction between PanorAMed and strategic projects with final aim to establish the coordination and implement the relevant project outputs and deliverables better and efficiently. And how was this done? We formed focus groups, which was a joint forum of quality exchange and cooperation between PanorAMed and strategic projects. So the overall objectives were two: capitalization of results with the involvement of not only strategic projects but also horizontal projects and the whole sustainable tourism community by sharing best practices, but also promotion of the common integrated approach for coastal and maritime tourism as a legacy for the next programming period. So to wrap up, we can say what are the added values of this approach and of this tool. It definitely helped to ensure the best possible capitalization of strategic projects and their results and deliverables. But the most important, it could be used as a model for enhancing governance, strengthening cooperation at the policy level and capitalization of project results in other programs and joint initiatives on the Mediterranean, but also beyond that area. It also represents a valuable instrument for the dissemination of knowledge and enhancing synergies across the Mediterranean region. And the most concrete thing is that SmartMed and BestMed as strategic projects, which were both direct results of the PanorAMed, have managed to achieve a concrete territorial impact because their outputs are included in the Sustainable Tourism Catalog. And at the very end, just general info and framework of PanorAMed. So it was kind of rather complicated cooperation platform for better governance. Its goal was to support the process of strengthening and developing multilateral cooperation in the Mediterranean region for joint responses to common challenges and opportunities. It had three major strategic topics. So as I said, we worked on sustainable tourism, coastal and maritime tourism, tourism surveillance, and also innovation. It was consisted of 21 project partners from 12 countries across the Mediterranean region on the leadership of the Ministry of Finance and Public Administration of Spain. And of course, the Ministry of Regional Development EU Funds of Croatia was the leader of Work Package 5 for coastal maritime tourism, together with Tuscany region as a co-leader of Work Package 5. So if you need more information, you can check on the website of PanorAMed, official website, or you can contact me directly on my email. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alan, for offering us this overview about the valuable platform for managing operational synergy between projects through the model of PanorAMed developed under Interreg MED program. So that was an approach on governance model. Now I immediately move to Lebanon, to Lutetia. She should be with us online. Hello, finally. And Lutetia, you had to be with us today, but there was a technical issue with your plane yesterday from the airport of Beirut. So we are lucky to have you with us today online. So you will talk about the Medusa project, which was implemented under our ENI CBC MED program, which we consider an excellent project for developing a new niche in tourism. So the floor is yours, Lutetia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. I'm sorry, I'm going to be online. Please bear with me and try to follow a little bit because it was really an interesting project, Medusa. Thank you, Martin. Please allow me to thank Vincent and Dr. Esmat, and also Albert was with you in the audience. Let me thank all those who invited me and to be part of this very interesting event. Thank you for joining efforts for our Mediterranean region. My name is Litesia Baini. I'm the project manager of Medusa at the René Mawad Foundation in Lebanon. Medusa stands for Development and Promotion of Mediterranean Sustainable Adventure Tourism. So the Medusa project aimed to create a form of adventure tourism in the Mediterranean that was both competitive and sustainable. The project focused on promoting environmental and economic sustainability values. One of the main goals was to generate sustainable business opportunities in the tourism sector. Another important objective was to create new employment opportunities in the region. The project was part of a larger effort to foster economic growth and development in our area. Medusa brought together partners from various countries.
Are you sharing your slides? Otherwise, we can share from here.
Yes.
We cannot see the slides, so I can ask the. Yes, maybe we can. We are sharing from here, Lutesia, if you don't mind.
Okay, no.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I'm in my second slide.
Okay, second slide, please. Sorry.
I'll say next.
Yeah, okay. So let's go to second slide. We'll do it like this. We're flexible.
So Medusa brought together partners from various countries, which I salute, and with whom a magnificent synergy was created: Catalonia, Spain, Jordan, Puglia, Italy, Tunisia, and Lebanon. Barcelona Chamber of Commerce, ASCAME, Jordan Inbound Tour Operators Association, Puglia Region, the Royal Society for the Conservation of Nature, the Mediterranean North Africa, and the René Mawad Foundation, to which I belong. Next. The tourism, next. I don't know if you're hearing me, yeah. The tourism industry in the Med region, as well as we all know, faces challenges such as high unemployment, seasonal jobs, overcrowding, and environmental impacts. To address these issues, there was a need to create new non-seasonal jobs, promote lesser-known destinations, and implement sustainable practices. A more responsible approach to tourism was necessary for economic growth while considering social and environmental concerns. Let's see the results achieved through Medusa. Next. I think that you are not following my talking
We'll manage this, no worries. Go next. I will confirm, yes. Okay, problem, then?
Problem. And to address these issues.
We'll do it like this, okay.
Okay. So next slide.
Okay, need. Okay, the impact of the project.
Yeah. So as a result of the project, new and improved tourism products were created, generating economic opportunities and promoting sustainable practices. Medusa project had a remarkable impact, creating and supporting 145 jobs in the adventure tourism industry across the Mediterranean region. 96 adventure tourism products were funded in Catalonia, Spain, Jordan, Lebanon, Puglia, Italy, Tunisia, through a sub-grant scheme worth over 800,000 euros. This aimed to promote sustainable business opportunities and attract tourists seeking unique experiences. Here, 114 SMEs were supported. 259 stakeholders were involved in the creation of sustainable tourism stewardship councils and the development of action plans. Next. So the Medusa Tourism Project trained 1,233 individuals in a diverse range of topics, including tourism business planning, sustainable destination management, creative tourism, design thinking, international sales and marketing, and market access for tourism products. These trainings programs aim to provide individuals with the necessary skills to develop and promote innovative and sustainable tourism products. Still in the results, next. Medusa project organized familiarization trips in the 5 countries, allowing the participation of 32 tour operators and media to promote the diverse adventure tourism offerings. I will give you, between parentheses, through this, we booked like 500 rooms in Lebanon alone. So this was a really good impact. 64 regional stakeholders participated in cross-border co-creation conference. 272 stakeholders were involved in product co-creation networking workshops. 24 service providers and tourism operators participated in cross-border adventure tourism routes, itinerary, and day trips. The numbers are big. Next. I'll invite you to check out valuable insights on tourism growth, development, and environmental concerns and reports and research and that are available on Medusa website. These includes a benchmark report on sustainable, innovative adventure tourism practices, studies featuring 5 destinations from socio-economical, political, and environmental perspective, a conceptualization of sustainable tourism products, market demand and competitive research, an analysis on sustainable, innovative practices of adventure tourism. Additionally, there are 5 publications on attractions, inventory, and mapping for adventure tourism in each destination. Thanks to those for Lebanon, we were able, for instance, I'm giving the example of Lebanon, we were able for the first time since decades to have new research and new inventory. Next. Here comes the most
Patricia,
important...
I'd just like you just to move, because we have, we need to close this session. We have another speaker at 1:30, so 1:30. So yeah, thank you, sorry.
So the key tool and the most important tool in Medusa project is the Mediterranean Adventure brand, which emerged from Medusa. It aims to promote sustainable adventure tourism. A key feature of this brand was proudly generated, which is the Mediterranean Adventure platform or the marketplace that we can find here on the link. On this marketplace, anyone can directly book currently over 40 unique experiences that are showcased. 13 sport adventure activities have already been published. 112 tour operators have registered to promote these experiences. A developed marketing strategy that includes targeted campaigns aiming at attracting tourists seeking authentic and sustainable adventure tourism opportunities in our Mediterranean regions was also developed. Next. As part of the adventure brand, a range of promotional materials were developed to showcase the 5 different destinations. So 5 destination flyers, which were translated into more than 4 languages. 5 positioning concepts to highlight the unique features and attraction of each destination. Also a hiking guide for these 5 destinations. All these efforts were all part of a broader strategy to attract visitors and showcase its many unique and exciting adventure tourism opportunities. Next. Also, as part of the efforts to promote the Mediterranean Adventure brand and increasing its visibility, a range of marketing initiatives were undertaken. These included establishing 3 social media channels, creating 12 destination videos, capturing over 150 new destinations photos. The Mediterranean Adventure brand was also promoted in various events, including the famous Adventure Travel World Summit in Lugano, Switzerland, with 57 participants. Also, as I mentioned, the familiarization trips in the 5 countries with 32 media bodies and tour operators. Next. So the MA brand, why? What is it useful for the added value? The MA brand, or the Mediterranean Adventure brand, offers added value to tour operators, service providers, tourists, and target market worldwide, including USA, Germany, UK, Norway, France, the upper. Indeed, by promoting adventure tourism in the Mediterranean region and emphasizing sustainability, the brand could attract visitors who are interested in unique and exciting experiences. So this MA brand that focuses on environmental sustainability helps to preserve the natural beauty and cultural heritage of our Mediterranean, making it an attractive destination for tourists from all over the world. I'd like to thank you, and please, here are the links to follow us. Should you need anything, Albert is in the audience. He would be able to help. Albert Rodriguez. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, my very quick message, here you have a model. If you are looking to develop adventure tourism in your area, feel free to contact Lutetia and Albert. They are here for real. Let's transfer, let's enrich ourselves. Elena, the floor is yours. ANCI Toscana, the Association of Italian Municipality, and you will give us an outlook on the Racine project funded under Interreg Italy, France, Maritime. I'm sorry for the time, but we'll manage it. Thank you.
Grazie a tutti,
Grazie.
buongiorno.
Thank you. I'm going to be really fast. I know that you may be hungry. I'm presenting a project that is called Racine. Here you are. Racine is a project that doesn't focus on sustainable tourism, but it is a project that has an impact into the sustainable tourism. This project was created in order to face the problem of the territory that is going to be loose. And we want to do that in many territories, such as also mountains or other parts. Within this project, we would like to talk about the territory that is abandoned by the population, by the people who abandon the services that these territories have. We would like to focus on the cultural heritage that we have in our territories in the Mediterranean area. We have plenty of cultural heritage here in this area. This cultural heritage represents a community. It is the identification of our local communities, and we would like to focus on this aspect by involving the local community and by acknowledging the presence of this heritage. And we would like to introduce a new dimension in the relationship between the local community and the culture of this territory. Within this project, there's this goal, and we want to reach this goal in order to, by involving the local community and thanks to the participation of the local community, in order by creating an ecosystem of local and cultural communities. The cultural heritage can be positive for the community, and the community can be positive for the territory. So this is really essential. As you can imagine, we could have tangible pathways in our area, and in this area the topic of sustainable tourism became a central topic, because the sustainable tourism is the driving force for our community. So the sustainability is the driving force for tourism. This project started with an analysis of different tools of participation for the local communities as far as the cultural heritage is concerned. We developed different programs Interreg. Into the catalog you can find the name of each project that decided to collaborate in this sense for the use of cultural heritage for sustainable purposes. This project had a tangible result. We had 11 local agreements. The local communities decided to start from the bottom, and they decided to use in an innovative way the place of culture, of their culture, and they decided to work with this culture, and they decide to work for sustainable tourism in order to identify their identity. These local agreements are available. You can see them on the website of the project. I'm going fast. The methods that are used were participative methods. They were implemented in different territories, and this project unfortunately took place during the COVID pandemic, but the population decided to participate, so to take part into this project. There were many events, many meetings, many work tables that helped the single citizens. We didn't have only organizations or firms. We also had single citizen individuals who decided, for example, to open a museum in order to bring children there, or to involve children, or maybe to make some institutions for local tourists. Here you can see the slides, you can see an explanation. We work in Isola d'Elba, so we work in areas that are next to us. These places were used in order to experiment, to make some experiments, and so the main work was done at Isola d'Elba. But I would like to say that we could see a cooperation between a MED project and an Interreg Italy-France Maritime project. So we had a sort of collaboration, we had a coordination into the MED program. It was a project about the seasonality. And thanks to this collaboration, there were many events that are called Valorizza Arcipelago. And starting from the island in Tuscany, we decided to work with other partners. And thanks to this cooperation, we could set up many events that take place in many places. For example, on the 28th, 29th of May, we are going to have this event in Isola del Giglio, and we want to involve the local communities, and we want that they know what sustainable tourism is. So I would like to underline what it is. I want to underline that we could see what this program is. You can find, I don't want to go further, you can find further information in the slides and on the website of Maritime about the project Racine. I thank you. Before the networking lunch, that is going to be in 20 minutes, we have an interactive moment. I would like to thank the speakers. There are many solutions for a more sustainable tourism. So we would, as programs, we would like to work with each other and inspire ourselves. So thank you. If you want to try to go further with this moment. We are waiting for you. So there's going to be a quiz. There are going to be some recognitions, prizes, and you can test your knowledge for your tourism knowledge about the Mediterranean area.
Session. Sorry, guys. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Sabah al khair. Our dear friends from Arab countries, from Israel also. You made a long journey, so thank you very much for coming. Now, we've been talking for a full day about tourism, and now it's time to check how much you know about tourism. Allow me to go as quick as possible because, lunch is knocking on the door, so of course we have to go very quick. Wow, good. Very good. So I think you all know the game. You have to go to kahoot.it, register. You have to enter this code, and then we are going to play. So we can wait 1 minute so that everybody can go in. It is important to say that this game is made for the people that are in the room. So if you are online, if possible, if still on time, please do not register because we cannot give you the small awards. So this is made for you that are in this room and the people from the program that know the responses. I think it would not be eligible, let's say. So good luck to everyone. How many are you now? 55, 56? Okay, so I think, is it okay? Can we go on? On peut y aller? I think so, no? Okay, so there are 8 questions, but we are going to go quick. General questions, but not too easy. Many of you are quite experts in the field, so I had to search for some questions that are tricky. So I have the help of our assistants there. Thank you very much. So we can start with the first question. We have been talking about growth in tourism. So we all know that growth in tourism is massive. It has been massive. In fact, we have now 1.5 billion tourists. The question is, back to 1951, how many tourists visited one of our countries, which is Greece? The game is also about speed, so it's not only about having the right questions. So we have 23 good questions. I told you that we had big experts in the room. Yeah, so I'm not going to have time to tell you about all the sources. Of course, I have them, so if you are interested, you can come to me. So back to 51, only 50,000 people visited Greece. That's just amazing if you think about it. Before going to the second question, I have to introduce this. We have been talking about growth. We should now talk about the importance of tourism in the global economy. So we know that, we imagine that it is an important industry, of course, we all know that. But to what extent? But I can already say before the question that the size, the importance of tourism is bigger than the size of the economy of Japan, which is the 3rd economy in the world. That's something that may help you. Now we are going to see with the next question. So next question applied to Spain. On your opinion, well, this is the podium, so you can, the ranking. Second question. So on the size of the tourism sector in the GDP, gross domestic product of Spain. And in the meantime, you can enjoy some pictures. And this time, the Alhambra, which is such a beautiful place for us because it's the communion between the north and the south. So how many good questions? So, yeah. According to the OECD, the right answers for 2019 was 12.8%. That's massive, really. More than 150 billion euros. Let's see the ranking. So I think I know the first one. So Albert. Who is X? Okay. So there is a little word for the three firsts. Okay. Third question. We have been talking this morning about the fact that it's a globalized industry. But the question is about to what extent is it a globalized industry? Is it really globalized or not? So the next question we can go is, on your opinion, do you know the percentage of people at global level that have never set foot on a plane? That means they never took a flight, never in their life. 20%, 40%, 60%, or 80%. So they never took a flight in their whole life. And the right answer, and it's quite shocking, it's 80%. 80% of the world has never taken a flight. So when we think about mass tourism, we are completely wrong, because mass tourism is still to come. In fact, we just have to think that Indians are not traveling, almost not traveling, and there is more than 1.5 billion Indians waiting to travel. So that's massive. Let's see the ranking if we still have... So now it seems that we have a lady, maybe. So I don't know who is Guy. Who is Guy? It's not a lady. No. Sì, Guy, sì, certo. Sorry for this. Okay, let's see now. So we know that many more people are most likely to come, and where are they going to go? We have seen this with the previous presentations, that the Mediterranean is a top priority destination, and it will probably remain so. We don't expect the newcomers to skip the Mediterranean. Why? Because of our food, because of our wine, because of the people, weather, many aspects, but one of them is culture and all the sites that we have in the UNESCO World Heritage. So the next question is about this and about one of our countries from the south. So I say hello to our Tunisian friends that are here today. And do you know, so we can go to the next question. Do you know how many properties, physical or cultural, sites there is in the UNESCO list in Tunisia? Known but 4 are under selection, 8, 2 or 4. What's the good one? Of course you recognize the amphitheater of El Jem, which is quite impressive. The correct answer is 8. So that question you did well. Very good, very good. Let's see the ranking. So it seems that we have a fight between several partners, and Albert is definitely going to be a very tough competitor. So next point. So number 5. Economy, growth, culture, and also jobs. It went too fast, but no worry. What's your guess? Or most populated countries in the Mediterranean? So Egypt, the percentage of jobs, total jobs in Egypt that are in the industry of tourism. 1.5 of total jobs, 5.5, 9.5 or 15.5. We have an Egyptian here and an Egyptian there. In 2018, sorry. 15 good responses. Were you right? You're right. Samar, were you right? So the 2 Egyptian people were right. Good. If not, So this comes also from OECD stats, so it's 9.5. It's massive. That means that when we had the COVID, so many people, of course, everywhere, but in Egypt, were unemployed. So maybe it's enough about gross employment and, let's say, the good side, though not all employments are good, we know it, but let's say the good side. Now let's switch to the bad side. We know that there are many environmental problems related to tourism, and we have to address them together. The first one is waste, and yeah, the production of waste in tourism is quite important, so you can imagine. Next question is on your opinion. If we do not change anything, everything stays as it is today, what will be the increase of solid waste by 2050? So this is the next question. So according to the UN Environment Programme, in a business as usual scenario, tourism would generate in 2050 an increase of 21%, 101, 251 or 551 increase of solid waste. We're talking of solid waste. In 2050. That's not an easy one. Wow, good. But you're really good at this, huh? So, really impressive. 30 good responses. Great. I'm always coming close to the screen because my sight is not so good as it used to be. Great. So let's see the ranking. Michele. Great. So Filippo, Beppe. We have not so much difference between the first one and the rest. So it's still, everything can still happen. Waste, and of course the next one is water, you can imagine. So it's difficult to address tourism without talking of water. In Spain, this is the driest year since many, many years, and we don't know what's going to happen with tourism this summer. So next question, on water, sorry. While an average citizen consumes 127 liters of water per day, the consumption of a tourist ranges between. The picture is a scene that we have all seen and all practiced, I think, at least one day. Okay, 15 good responses. So that means that we may have some changes in the ranking. Let's see the ranking. Michele, let's see if you're still leader. No? No, he says no. Yeah, you're still there. But it looks like the same reasons as before, no? Ah, okay. So Filippo, before the last question, let's see who is who. So Michele is there, it's clear. Filippo is there. And who is using Mickey Mouse name? Okay. Good. So the experts, the managing authorities are very strong. We can see that. The last question is to give a touch of optimism. What is the percentage of travelers that in 2022, when they were surveyed, said that they would consider sustainable tourism actions in 2023? So they are thinking to travel in a more sustainable way, let's say. Is it 0 because nobody cares? Let's see. It's 69, well done, so we have 25. Let's see the face of the leader. Yeah, good. Let's see. So Silvia, who is Silvia? Okay, Silvia. Number 3. Michele, grande. We can make the award. The award ceremony. So for number 3, Silvia. Thank you. You proved an amazing knowledge. And we have number 2. Thank you very much. Grazie. Number 1 is a bit better because there is a book also from our region, so from the region of Valencia. Okay. So, but you deserve it because you were the leader for almost all the games. So, yeah, really. Thank you very much.